Shorthanded or not, the Cleveland Browns are expected to go down to Baltimore and give the best representation of themselves they can. And you want to know what? It's a big one. The Browns can keep this AFC North as tight as it is. Your latest Locked On Browns starts now.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound, LGB, and the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Your host, Jeff Lloyd, and I appreciate all of you who make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. The everyday crowd, you guys are a bunch of animals, and as I tell you, I love and appreciate you all so much. And if you're not part of the everyday crowd, you need to correct that now by subscribing to the Locked On Browns YouTube channel. And of course, Locked On Browns, always available, always free, wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode of Locked On Browns is brought to you by PrizePicks. The easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use the code all lowercase LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. We get the news. We got the finality here. Obviously, the Cleveland Browns injury report. And as far as practice today, DeJuan Jones did not return to practice today. Marquise Goodwin, the concussion protocol, he was not close. So obviously, even if he came back to practice today, he still would have been out. And David Bell still unavailable. All three players will be out for the Browns on Sunday. Questionable status for Greg Newsome. Also a questionable status for Pierre Strong, both players battling hamstring injuries. For the Ravens, Jalen Armour-Davis, cornerback illness. Back to a full practice today, listed as questionable. Got to believe he's good to go. Marlon Humphrey, limited the last 2 days with a hamstring injury, listed as questionable. Marlon Humphrey ain't missing a game like that. We all know that. Keaton Mitchell, back to a full practice today with a hamstring injury. Still carries a questionable status. He'll be a go. And Morgan Moses, your right tackle for the Baltimore Ravens, 2 straight days with full practices, even carrying a questionable status. It's kind of hard to believe. There is no way that Morgan Moses will not be going on Sunday. There it is. Obviously, the Browns tackle situation. Jerron Christian most likely is going to be your left tackle. James Hudson is most likely going to be your right tackle. James Hudson has obviously gotten a couple of spot starts here for the Browns in his career. Look, now he's a third-year player. I mean, you count on this guy to go out there and be able to contribute and give you something. So for James Hudson, obviously a better run blocker than pass blocker. Browns are certainly going to have some work to do. Bill Callahan's certainly going to have some work to do here over the next few, 48 hours or so to try and, get this as good as it possibly can be. Jerron Christian has 16 career starts in the NFL. Former, I think, was second or third round pick of the Washington Commanders. He's kind of bounced around. It's not an ideal situation, but nobody's going to feel bad for the Cleveland Browns. And you still got to go out there. You still got to compete, and you got to be the best version of yourself. The Browns have a bigger addition in this game than any subtractions they would have in this game, as opposed to the first time these two teams played. Deshaun Watson's back, and everybody seems to be glowing about it. David Njoku at practice today, to on and on about where he feels Deshaun Watson is at. But for the offensive side of the ball, the three keys are obviously going to be Jerron Christian and James Hudson. One of the three keys, I should say. These two, you can't go out there and just be wallflowers. And maybe the Browns try to run the ball more. Any offensive lineman coming in, obviously, off the bench, and for Christian's sake, basically coming in off the street, so to speak. You try to run the ball as much as you can. And hopefully you have success running the ball. It's always easier to translate, transition new guys in by running the ball. Running plays, most of the time are the same. There is some slight changes. You certainly have a guy you can go to, somebody you can lean onto in Bill Callahan, who can, help and try to make sure that these guys are as coached up and ready to go as possible. But it can be very, very important for those guys. I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of, my guess would be, 12 personnel. My guess would be 11 personnel This is going to be a big, big week for Elijah Moore and Cedric Tillman. These two are definitely one of the keys to this game. If you're the Ravens, how do you not have your game plan to take Amari Cooper out of this game? It ideally should be, what is the game plan? Obviously, for the Baltimore Ravens defensively, Coop has been on a really, really nice run here, putting together another great season here, a second year with the Cleveland Browns. You've got to be able to, try to take him away if you're the Ravens and make, other guys show the belief and make you have to change up your coverage that these guys can actually beat you. Elijah Moore, there's been times, and look, I don't want to hear anymore, but that he's been open and just hasn't gotten the ball his way. That's great, but he's got to be involved, and the Browns got to find a way to get him involved. It's just paramount. Cedric Tillman, you got to go out there, and it's not a knock on Cedric, and it's a really difficult time to look at a rookie and say, hey, we need you to go out there and really hopefully be able to find a way to contribute. He's been around here long enough. No injuries, so he's been involved with everything, from the day he got here, obviously after being drafted in the 3rd round, up until, here we are, November 10th. And there should be an opportunity for Cedric Tillman to make some plays. Go out there. And, it's never a right time for when you need a rookie to contribute or you need a rookie to step up. But whenever the time is, you need said rookie to do just that. And I think, for Cedric Tillman, it's like he played in the SEC. It's not like he's a stranger to these big atmospheres or big environments. And yes, Baltimore can be a tough place to play, and this Ravens defense is a menace. But it's not, anything that should be unfamiliar or anything that the young man should back away from. You get Elijah Moore involved, you get Cedric Tillman involved, there's a really, really good chance the Browns win this game and win this game pretty easily because you're going to spread this Ravens defense out. Running backs, and you can't just put one running back, obviously, on notice. All these guys got to be involved, and everybody's just got to do what they do best. Jerome Ford, and I've talked about it in the past. Jerome Ford, it always seems like there's times where one guy's in, basically the angel on the shoulder, the devil on the shoulder. One saying patience, the other one saying, there's the whole just go play, Jerome Ford. Just go play. Kareem Hunt, just, do your battering ram act that you do oh so well. Screen or two to Kareem Hunt. He's always played well against the Ravens, so we'll see how it works out for him. And Pierre Strong, if available, obviously you have a guy who has the ability to burst one at any given time. We're going to look to see what happens as far as practice squad. Could it be Austin Watkins called up for this game? Could it be Jalen Darden called up for this game? Because going into this game, the Browns have Tillman, Moore, Cooper, James Prochet, who's been here for a week, and then it's Darden and Watkins. One of those guys is going to be a factor in this game on Sunday, or at least dressing, which will be new for either one of these guys. Darden obviously did, have an opportunity earlier in the year, but now Prochet is going to be the punt returner. Can somebody come in and contribute as a wide receiver for this team? And we will find out even more about all of this on Sunday. Jeff Lloyd, appreciate you all for being along for the ride. Your latest Locked On Browns continues. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. We're the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on a 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you can watch the winnings roll in. With basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League, a league created specifically for combo projections that includes 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. For example, you can put together a Darius Garland, Amari Cooper lineup, maybe to be based on receptions and 3-pointers made, total points scored. But these are things now you can do only with PrizePicks. You want to play alongside PrizePicks' favorite players like rapper Meek Mill, comedian Andrew Schultz. You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the PrizePicks community each and every week. PrizePicks even offers a reboot policy so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. So for football and basketball, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half, doesn't return for the second half, that player is rebooted. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. If you want to put together a Browns lineup for Sunday, Deshaun Watson, over under 193.5. Jerome Ford, rushing yards, 41.5, over under. Amari Cooper, 50.5, over under. Elijah Moore, 34.5, over under. David Chief and Joku, 33.5, over under. You put together that Browns lineup, put together your over-unders, and you got a chance to cash out. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL. Use the code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use the code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. We talk all the time about the Jase case and the importance of the Jase case. For me, I always go away, when me and my family go away, one of the kids always gets sick. Well, you want to know what the most difficult part of that is? Trying to get antibiotics. That's where you can put together a Jase case from Jase Medical. You get your everyday antibiotics that your kids need whenever they get sick. Get something for yourself, get something for your wife. That's why everybody's covered. Maybe get an allergy type of thing, so you got somebody covered every which way, and enjoy the heck out of your vacation. Look, we spend a lot of time talking together, you and I. We get fired up on Browns wins. We get fired up on Browns losses, about who starts, who sits, and I'm thankful for the connection we have. But today, I want to chat a little bit about something a little bit more personal. I just learned that you can get a 1-year supply on ED medications. You realize what this means? Bring on extended travel. Bring on the next, hopefully never to happen again, but something that would survive and hopefully happier times at the home during a pandemic. You're covered, guys. You don't have to worry about whether or not you can refill your generics for Cialis, Viagra, or Ratio prescription. And this is possible because of our friends at Jase Medical. Go online right now at jasemedical.com to receive your 12-month supply on your daily medication. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for a discount as well. A verified customer had this to say about Jase: I am thankful for this service. Supply chain issues caused me to cut pills in half to have it. So he was able to order his daily meds in a year supply and never had to worry about it again. If you or someone you know, love, would like to get some peace of mind by having a year supply of daily medication, go to jasemedical.com to see if it's offered for you. Remember to use the promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your purchase. We continue to roll on here, your latest Locked On Browns, your host, Jeff Lloyd, and I appreciate all of you who make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. The everyday crowd, you guys mean the world to me, and you keep bringing more and more with you. If you're not part of the everyday crowd yet, well, the best thing to do is to subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel, and you don't have to worry about being a part of that crowd anymore. And, of course, Locked On Browns is always available, always free, wherever you get your podcast. The big keys here on the defensive side of the ball here. And look, this Ravens team is good. And I'm not, as much as, we're getting closer and closer to Sunday, which means I just hate the Ravens even more and more. Give credit where it's due. This is a really good team. It's a really good product. Their passing offense, I still don't think is where it's going to be by the end of the regular season. The running game, solid. Even, with, they lost, obviously, the former Buckeye, Gus Edwards does this thing, Keaton Mitchell, Justice Hill, these guys all put together, solid efforts in getting Keaton Mitchell back into the fold last week. Now here's a guy with just straight game-breaking ability, a little bit lighter in the can, so to speak. Browns got to come out. They got to be physical. And it all starts up front with this defensive line. Coming off their best performance of the year last week in the Arizona Cardinal game, you finally got to see deeper contributions from Shelby Harris, of course, Alvin Tomlinson with a big effort. Jordan Elliott continues to get talked about by the coaching staff about all the work that he puts in each and every week. He's been a solid contributor to this year. I know a lot of people always want to ask about Siaki Ika. The problem is if you want to address Siaki Ika, who are you sitting? Because you're not sitting Tomlinson, you're not sitting Shelby Harris, you're not sitting Maurice Hurst, and you're certainly not sitting Jordan Elliott at this point. So it's not a knock on Siaki Ika. I know it kind of feels like it's a red shirt year from the rookie out of Baylor. But it's a good thing. The Browns put together a really good defensive line, and right now it's just not enough room for Ika to crack this rotation. Alex Wright looks like he's possibly going to be back this week, which maybe goes back to your normal DN rotation, of course, of Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, Ogbonnaya Okoronkwo, and of course, Alex Wright coming back to the fold here. These guys, they got to set the edges in the run game. You got to collapse this pocket on Lamar, because you can't have your defense do such a great job in coverage and all of it blow to bits because number 8 found a crease. And all of a sudden, a play that was collectively done well by each and every level of the defense falls apart because, Lamar had to go rogue. And when Lamar goes rogue, it usually doesn't go well for anybody other than the Ravens. The linebackers. And now the linebacker unit's been kind of interesting here over the last couple of weeks. because as Anthony Walker and Sione Takitaki get more comfortable, and get more back into, their best playing shape from, season-ending injuries that both suffered the year before, it's dipped in a little bit of a Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah's playing time. But the problem is if you're playing Lamar Jackson, you got to have JOK out there. These other guys just, they're not athletic enough to be playing with Lamar Jackson. So you got to get JOK out there. And, the other thing is it's the poison pill, because, you want to play JOK to take away, hopefully, from, things that Lamar Jackson can do with his legs. But you also have to have your better covering linebackers on the field, because you got to deal with the pain in the butt that is Mark Andrews, who has killed this franchise forever. Rashard Bateman has never really been a guy that's done much against the Browns. Zay Flowers had a nice reception the first time these two teams played, but didn't do much else after that. Odell Beckham Jr., there's a storyline there. I don't care to entertain it. Just go cover him, take him out of the game, because, I know, Odell has been, a little upset with his production and what he's been able to do for the Ravens to this point. I don't want to hear it. I want to hear a quiet Odell. I want to shut down Odell Beckham Jr. on Sunday. That is what I want to hear. And I want the Browns to have the best revenge and have the last laugh Sunday in Baltimore. This is one, and look, it applies obviously to the offense, but it certainly applies to the defense. The turnover plus minus absolutely has to be largely in favor of the Cleveland Browns. It absolutely has to be. You cannot give this Baltimore Raven offense more opportunities, and offensively, you cannot be giving the ball away. The Browns are going to try and put points up, hopefully, on every drive, and on the drives you can't. Barack hopefully is going to be able to flip the field. He's been doing a fantastic job as the Browns punter this year, been able to pin teams inside the 20, inside the 10, which puts the Browns defense in just an absolute, position where they can just absolutely feast. And it's really, really been key this year. Dustin Hopkins, look, there's not very, very many opportunities where you can talk about any game that involves the Baltimore Ravens and say that any other kicker than Justin Tucker's having a better year. Dustin Hopkins, he's having a better year right now than Justin Tucker. Justin Tucker may go on to Canton, all of that, and that's fantastic, and all that is great. But Hopkins has been the better kicker this year. And the Browns need to find a way to keep him involved. They need to find a way to, if you're not scoring touchdowns, that's fine. But you got to try to put points up on each and every drive. And Hopkins, to his credit, has been really, really good. And he's been really, really paramount for this team and this team's success. So you've got to find the opportunities where you are going to get him, an opportunity, if you can't score touchdowns, to get him to get you points on the board. It's going to be huge for this team. Every drive is going to count in this game. You can't just say, oh, well, okay, whatever, we'll get it. No. Every drive for the Browns offense has to be key and has to be paramount. Even if they don't score, Baltimore needs to be getting the ball at the 15 to 10-yard line. Otherwise, touchdowns, field goals. You're going to have to score north of 20, most likely maybe even closer to 30 to pull this game off on Sunday at the bank down in Baltimore. We're going to continue here. We're going to close it out. Your final segment here, Locked On Browns pregame show, Browns, Ravens, Sunday, 1 o'clock. And yes, guys, you can feel it. I'm starting to get there. It's going to be a big one Sunday in Baltimore. We're coming up to this holiday season, end of the year season. And, I know you guys have all gone through it. Guys, I've gone through it. And it brings up, some sad times. There's people you're not going to get to see this holiday season. So, it's never easy. This time of year can be a lot. And it's natural to feel some sadness or anxiety about it. But adding something new and positive to your life can counteract some of those feelings. Therapy can be a bright spot amid all of the stress and change, something to look forward to make you feel grounded, to give you the tools to manage everything going on around you. It's not always been easy for me. 5 years now without my older brother, 4 years now without my father. And I've actually moved now and I'm starting a whole new life here again. But those memories and missing these guys doesn't change. And so you've got to get through it. And the thing is I've got to be a father. I've got to be a husband. I've got to be a good son of my mom, and I still got to be a good employee. So it's okay to say you're not okay and to have to find out and reach out what you need to get yourself to a functioning okay. If you're thinking of starting therapy, you better give BetterHelp a try. It's done entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. You can switch the therapist at any time if it's not working for no additional charge. Find your bright spot this season with BetterHelp. Jeff Lloyd, your latest Lockdown Browns Ravens on Sunday. To all the everyday crowd, you guys mean the world to me. Join the everyday crowd by subscribing to Lockdown Browns YouTube channel. Lockdown Browns is always available, always free, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, the importance of this game, and I don't think the season is over for the Cleveland Browns if they do not win this game on Sunday, but I do think if the Cleveland Browns do not win this game on Sunday, any and all hopes at an AFC North championship are out the window. And it's still okay to think that way. That should still be the goal. You've got Deshaun Watson back. Yes, I understand you're out with, down to offensive tackle 4 and offensive tackle 5 this week. I get it. I do. But Deshaun Watson, and I'll say it again, it may sound cliche, but you want to know one person that feels that they should be the difference in a game like this? It's Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson didn't just take the money. Deshaun Watson took the money because he felt that's what he was deserved. This feels what he's capable of. So having this game be put on his shoulders on the road at Baltimore against the Ravens, Deshaun Watson's totally okay with that. Because if you're going to be the man, you understand the expectations that go along with being the man. And that means going to a tough place to play. That means having to play a team like this. That means going toe-to-toe against a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, going toe-to-toe against a Ravens defense that is a really, really good defense as well. Amari Cooper, Deshaun and Amari obviously had a beautiful relationship last week as, getting back into the swing of things, Deshaun being healthy, but we got to have that relationship carry over to other players. It's got to carry over to Elijah Moore. It's got to carry over to Cedric Tillman. David Njoku, the involvement there needs to keep up. Chief has been fantastic this year in every which way possible, blocking, receiving, and to say he's probably ready for a bigger workload, it's not lip service. It's the truth. Totally capable of this. Defensively, I really think this team is going to come out with everything they have. I'm sure Jim Schwartz knows and feels what happened that first game. And he talked about issues with containment. He talked about issues with linebackers overrunning plays, getting killed on the cutback, and just general tackling. That was an issue in this first Raven game, which is general tackling from the Cleveland Browns. Can't have it in the NFL. You got to, be the hammer. Don't be the nail. You've got to be the aggressor. You've got to be the more physical team. You have an advantage where maybe Baltimore's feeling really good about themselves, and rightfully so. But usually when a team is feeling good about themselves is when they're ripe. It's when they're ready to be picked. And I think that's the case here. They didn't see Deshaun. I'm not saying the tackles are going to come in and, remind anybody, Joe Thomas or, anybody else. And no, that's not the expectations. Mitchell Schwartz, the Baltimore Ravens are not going to think either one of these guys are going to come out and perform like those two did in the past. But they've got to be ready to go. And, this is a huge game. I understand you're shorthanded. I get it. I don't care. Plenty of teams go into big games in the NFL shorthanded and find a way to make a difference, find a way to get the victory. That is what you have to do here. You are good you are a good team on special teams. You are a good team defensively. You are a team that's getting better offensively. These are the things the Browns need to do. You need to play collectively as 3. The special teams, obviously the defense, the offense. Every unit is just as important as the other, because one grave mistake in a game like this against a team like the Baltimore Ravens can turn out to be the absolute difference. And you don't want to go down there and play for 58 minutes and lose a game like you did against Seattle. You got to play 60 minutes like you did against the Colts, 60 minutes like you did against the San Francisco 49ers. And if the Browns run the ball a little bit more than everybody's maybe expecting, I don't want to hear the calling out of Coach Stefanski. Sometimes you got to try to shorten the game. If the Browns are running the ball well, they better continue to run the ball well. You do whatever you need to do to win a game like this. It doesn't get style points. It doesn't get graded on being pretty. The ultimate goal in winning a road game against a division opponent is getting the victory itself. Nothing else matters. No style points are given for a road victory within the division. All that being said, and are you ready for it, kids? Cleveland Browns, 30. Baltimore Ravens, 23. The Cleveland Browns find a way to pull off the impossible Sunday at the bank in Baltimore, Maryland. Cleveland Browns are going to win this game. I am Jeff Lloyd, your host here of Locked On Browns. Now my 7th season with you all. Man, we went from the days of just, hey, can we even play with this team for a quarter to, playoff expectations, winning playoff games, and a team here right now that has been the best team that I have seen from the Browns in the 7 seasons that I have covered them. I appreciate you all who make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. The everyday crowd, they are about as faithful as anybody can be. Join the everyday crowd by being subscribed to the Locked On Browns YouTube channel. And of course, Locked On Browns is always available, always free, wherever you get your podcasts. And whatever happens, we will see you Sunday, and we will see you all through the week, and we will see you every day on Locked On Browns. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on ELOB. Let's go, Browns.